there! You'll often hear that when homeschooling, children can get done with their lessons a lot faster than their public school counterparts. But that can also lead to another question. Once lessons are done, what are homeschooled kids doing all the rest of the day? Well, I cannot speak for all homeschoolers, but I want to share with you some activities that what my kids are doing once homeschool lessons are done. Hi, I'm Stacey, and I work full-time from home while homeschooling my 3 boys, currently in grades 3rd, 2nd, and kindergarten. In our daily homeschool routine, I aim to have homeschool lessons done by around 12 every single day, or at least before lunch. Now, just because we have stopped doing lessons at noon, that does not mean that my children have stopped all of their learning for the day, and I'll explain why in just a minute. Now again, because of my work schedule, I really need the afternoons to be able to do all of my work, and so that's where I rely on a lot of independent activities for my boys to do so that I can get my work done while they're off playing and doing other activities. Now, when my children were younger, this did include a movie time every single day in the afternoon after lunch to where I knew they could just kind of settle down and rest and not be cranky in the afternoon. Now that my children are getting a little bit older and my youngest doesn't need that daily rest time anymore, I have really relied on independent activities. All right, so what are these independent activities that my kids are doing in the afternoon? First up is Legos or any other kind of free building materials. I love having building blocks or Legos freely accessible to my children at all times of the day. Legos encourage creativity, they encourage engineering, and they also work on fine motor skills. So I know that even though my kids aren't doing school lessons, they're still learning very practical skills through this play. Other than Legos, around our house, we also have a marble track, we have Lincoln logs, we have gears, and we also have this other block that I just can't remember the name of. Building materials are my first go-to activity that I recommend anytime my kiddos are saying that they are bored or don't have something to do. Next up are RC vehicles. Now, if you're a parent with RC cars, you probably hate them like I do. So let me tell you, I am not a fan of RC cars. They always need a battery, or they need to be charged, or they just don't work as very long because they took them outside and got dirt in the wheels. These can be a huge headache. And I used to really despise them, but what I did recently was I just kind of said, they're your RC cars, you're in charge of them. You make sure you know where everything goes. You make sure, like, my boys know which connector charger goes to which toy. I have no idea, but that's kind of their responsibility. So when they want to charge it, they can plug it into our charging area and get their car charged. So we do have a small closet where I have them keep their RC items along with the cords and even the charging station. So we were able to set that up in their room so that everything's easily accessible and I don't have to worry about it. I love that this activity is teaching them a responsibility for keeping track of their own items, and then at the same time it is also teaching them how to work with mechanical items. They do have a screwdriver that is in with their chargers because some of their vehicles do have batteries. So they are, having to unscrew it and then go get batteries from our battery compartment and put them in, learn how to put them in correctly. So there's a lot of practical life skills being taught in this activity. The next activity you can find my kids doing is drawing or just art in general. Now, if you know anything about me, you know that I'm not super artsy. I don't have every craft and glitter and glue accessible to my children at all times. It's just not the mess. I can just imagine it right now, and I don't want to see it. So, but we do have some of the basics. They've got scissors and glue and colored pencils and markers and lots of paper. Occasionally I'll stick some stickers out if I'm feeling really ambitious and crafty. But other than that, that's kind of the bare minimum that they have access to all the time. And then occasionally I'll even have my kids on our TV. They can connect to Art for Kids Hub on YouTube. And these are step-by-step drawing lessons. So my kids can select the character they want to draw, and then then this dad and his kids will always walk them through how to do this drawing step by step, and we absolutely love it. And my kids have learned so much through this YouTube channel just by using it for the past couple years. And with all art, this is allowing them to do even more creativity and also working on those fine motor skills. Now, this next activity doesn't always happen during independent time because we do this activity during school and other times during the day, but I wanted to make sure to add this in here, and it's just simply reading. We do have a library in our school-ish room, and then they have extra books in their bedroom as well that they have access to. So they at any time can go grab a book and just kind of look through the pages or read if they want, and that's something they can do. The most common time you'll find my kids reading books is when it's bedtime. We do allow them to read before bed, so once we tuck them in and get them into their beds, then they're able to kind of sit up and read until we come in and tell them to turn out the lights. Or they have fallen asleep already. So that's why they won't typically do that as much during the day, because they know that they get to read kind of freely, whatever they want, in the evening. The next activity you can find my boys doing is playing board and card games. Now, this has just recently, in the past 6 months, been something that I've noticed that they're doing more and more. Now that my youngest is in kindergarten and the older two understand how to play, they can really help him play the games with them. So again, when they were all younger, there was a lot of fighting and having to learn to take turns. They really needed me to be there with them. But now I have found that they're able to play simple games like Guess Who, or Go Fish, or even Uno. And then my oldest, who's in 3rd grade, has actually gotten some board games for his birthday, so he's really learned how to play some of those and really likes to add his siblings in and let them play with him for those kind of group games. So by playing board and card games, kids are learning how to take turns, and then depending on which board or card game they're learning, there's all sorts of other skills that are possible to be learned during this time. So if you have any other board game or card game suggestions that are great for this younger elementary age to play independently, not needing an adult to kind of guide them, please leave those in the comments. I'd love to add even more to my shelf. This next activity is actually a bunch of different activities rolled into one theme, but having my kids go outside and play. Having my kids go outside is very important to us, and that is one reason why we did move to a more rural area where we would have more space for the kids to just run around. But being outside was even important when we lived in town, and I would make sure there were activities that they could do in our backyard so that they could go out, get some sunshine, get some fresh air, run, be loud, whatever they need to do. That's all stuff they can do outside. So a few activities that my kids love doing outside are jumping on our trampoline, or even go hang around on the monkey bars or swing set that we have, and then climbing trees. We have several trees that are just super awesome for climbing around here. Sometimes the kids go higher than I ever thought they would, but it's super awesome to see them have that confidence. And then they can go watch the chickens or any other animals that we have on the property at the time. And we have even been able to, when we were doing some work on other areas of the property, we've created one kind of large mound of dirt, just so that we would have extra dirt, and the kids have now named that Mud Mountain. So they'll go out there with shovels and they'll dig, and that's the one spot where I said you can dig holes over here, you can do whatever you want, because I don't want them digging random holes in the middle of the front lawn. But so they have Mud Mountain where they can go and dig and get dirty and all that good stuff. If you are liking some of these activity ideas so far, go ahead and click that like button and consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. The rest of the tips I have for you are all going to be technology related, but I did want to just kind of give a brief overview of how we use technology in our house. In our house, our kids can use technology when they ask, but just because they ask doesn't mean we say yes. We are also very picky about the types of technology we introduce into our home and allow our kids to play. So typically when they do ask, I'm totally fine with what they are doing, and as long as I'm monitoring kind of how much time they're spending on it, I don't find technology to be a hindrance in them wanting to go outside or do any other activities. Now, earlier I did say that my kids don't need that daily movie time anymore, but that does not mean that we never watch movies in the afternoons. So there are times where my kids are just super tired and really need just kind of some calm, relaxing time, and we'll do a movie. Or if I have a meeting in the afternoon that I just cannot be interrupted in, and my husband's not home to be able to keep an eye on the kids for me, that's when I can go ahead and just say, hey, let's watch a movie, let's have quiet time, I'm in a meeting, and that's another time that I'll utilize movies. The next activity is video games. Now, we do not have any of the new or fancy video games. What my kids currently have access to is an old Xbox One that was, I think it was my husband's, and there's a couple games they play. They have the Kinect, so that's where there's like a camera connected to it and it tracks your motion, if you're not sure what that was. And so that kind of keeps them active. So I do like when they want to play that one because at least they're moving around and being active. So I love that on rainy days. And they also have another game that they've been playing is like a snowboarding game. And so that's with the Xbox. And then we did, I think 2 Christmas ago, we got them, it's a little console, it's only like this big, but it has like 100 different like old Sega games on it. So with this one, it's just so funny to think how far technology has come. You know, I grew up with a Sega, and now all the games and more that I used on my Sega, my kids have in this little device. So, and they don't have to, blow the container and put it in and make sure it works yet. You know what I'm talking about. So anyway, now all they have to do is plug it in. And so it's so funny to see how excited they are to play these like old Sega games, and they get such a kick out of it. The next activity you can find my kids doing is educational computer time. Now, like I said, I am fairly picky about what websites my kids are able to access. So I do have specific websites that they are able to go, and all of them probably have some sort of educational value to them. If you want to see exactly how I set up my kids' computers along with the computers we use and the websites we use, you can check out this video right here. And if you want to take a peek into what our homeschool morning looks like, you can check out this video here. And until then, happy homeschooling.